All right, everybody, welcome to the show. I am not in the studio today, but that will not stop me from delivering y'all a whole bunch of news today. So it is October 12th. It's a Wednesday. I'm laying in bed. I got the Red Bull coursing through my veins. So feeling good. Let's go ahead and dive into it here now. We have Tim Ryan debated J.D. Vance the other day. And allow me to say up front, I'm not a fan of Tim Ryan. There's a number of reasons I'm not a fan of Tim Ryan. First of all, he ran for president and got roughly -7 votes. And in the process, he shit on Bernie relentlessly. And he even made like t-shirts with his shitty little quips that he had against Bernie. He likes to posture like he's a populist, while at the same time embracing the centrist label, which is kind of contradictory, if you ask me. He was a big opponent of Medicare for All, even though he literally signed on as a sponsor to the Medicare for All bill in the House. So he's just like a two-faced little goblin. The other thing that he did that really fucking pissed me off was he slammed Joe Biden for reducing student loan debt. It was clearly like, you know, him and his staffers thought, oh, this will be a really good way for us to, like, distinguish ourselves from Biden because Biden's unpopular, and so we don't want to be like him. We got to win in Ohio here. So, yeah, let's shit on him for one of the best things that he did. And so, just clearly he's an overly calculated politician, kind of annoying, kind of smug, for all the reasons I stated, and many more. Now, having said that, J.D. Vance is a human sack of shit. J.D. Vance is significantly worse than a guy like Tim Ryan. He's a Trump ball coddler, among other things. And so these guys had a debate the other night. They're, of course, running for the Senate. And, man, look, even though I don't like the guy, it's got to be said, Tim Ryan hammered J.D. Vance into the ground. So I got a whole bunch of clips here. Let's share them, and we'll break it down as we go.
Kill and confront the extremist movement, of which J.D. Vance, unfortunately, is a part of, right? Who says that the President of the United States is intentionally trying to kill people with fentanyl? Who says that the election was stolen? J.D. Vance does. Who runs around with Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, who wants to ban books? You're running around with Lindsey Graham, who wants a national abortion ban. You're running around with Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's the absolute looniest politician in America. This is a dangerous group, and we do need to confront it, and that's why I'm running to represent the exhausted majority, Democrats, Republicans, and independents,
candidates
against the extremists.
We are going to
kill and
yeah, I mean, that's pretty solid. That's pretty solid. And J.D. Vance is sitting there with a blank look on his face, like, what do I say back? There's literally only one moment that the Republicans are pointing to in this debate where they're using that to pretend like J.D. Vance did well and crushed Tim Ryan. And that moment is when Tim Ryan says to J.D. Vance, like, look at what you and your party have brought us. There was a 10-year-old rape victim who couldn't get an abortion. Like, what do you have to say for yourself about that? And J.D. Vance's response is, yeah, well, like, I'm totally fine with her, like, getting an abortion, so whatever. But also, the real issue here is that the guy who did it is an illegal immigrant. And, like, you're pro-illegal immigrants. And, you know, the right was like, oh, man, totally wrecked, bro. But, you know, needless to say, absurd. The idea that Tim Ryan, you know, what do you think? He's an open borders Democrat or something? It's just utter nonsense. So Tim Ryan again, kind of clean the floor with him. Is that the saying? No, wipe the floor with him. Cleaned his clock. There you go. Mixing metaphors here. So here I got another one for you. Let's see.
Police get injured during the insurrection when they tried to overthrow the government. Beat them upside the head with lead pipes. Spray them with pepper spray. The one video we saw, the cop got jammed into the door, right? J.D. Vance raised money for the legal defense fund of the insurrectionists. This is the kind of extremism, JD, that we wholly reject. You have video posts. Don't even try to deny it. We got your Twitter posts and everything else. Everybody's seen it. He said, help these guys with their legal defense fund. Now, can you imagine one guy saying out of one side of his mouth he's pro-cop, and out of the other side of his mouth he's raising money for the insurrectionists who were beating up the Capitol Police? The one guy he tried to raise money for got 4 years in prison. Police get injured.
Damn. So look, the thing that's hilarious about this is J.D. Vance is simply power hungry. And so what he's doing is he's sniffing out where all the power is in the Republican Party and snuggling up. And but that's a paradox, and it's a conundrum for him, because if he does that, which he has, well, then you're opening yourself up to obvious attacks from anybody with a brain to point out, hey, look who you're in league with, Dippy. You want to raise money for the rioters and the idiots and the criminals on January 6th? Is that what you want to do? You want to snuggle up to them? And by the way, and Tim Ryan will point this out in a different clip, but it's like, you guys posture as being pro-cop, and then, these are the people who were fucking assaulting cops. So, here, let's do another one. I got plenty of these, man. I got plenty of them.
You know what I haven't done? I didn't start a fake nonprofit pretending like I was going to help people with addiction like J.D. Vance did. Literally started a nonprofit and didn't spend one nickel on anybody. In fact, he brought in somebody from Purdue Pharma to be the spokesperson for the nonprofit. The same drug company, Big Pharma, the big drug company that had all the pill mills going, got everybody addicted. 1 million people died, JD. 1 million people died. And you started a nonprofit to try to take advantage of people in Ohio. And you know what? All you did with it was launch your political career. You know what
Damn, son. He's aggressive. He's aggressive, Tim Ryan is. It's a lot better when the aggression is not pointed at somebody who's objectively superior to him, like Bernie Sanders. Anyway, more.
J.D. Vance has invested into companies in China. The problem we're having now with inflation is our supply chains all went to China. And guys like him have made a lot of money off that. And that is exactly why the supply chains are locked up. I'm working with these bills to bring production back to the United States. J.D. Vance is...
All right, there you go. The one good thing about Tim Ryan is that he's pro-union. And, I mean, he's pro-union as a matter of necessity, because you can't be an Ohio Democrat and get elected unless you're massively pro-union. So that's the one good thing about him. And what he's talking about here with the supply chain is absolutely correct. And that's actually one of the main reasons why we're facing inflation. So the goal of bringing back American manufacturing is one of the main things you could do to reduce inflation in the long run. And it's also good for national security reasons. We don't want to be dependent on, China, India. You don't want to be dependent, even for stuff like oil, you don't want to be dependent on Saudi Arabia, etc. And one of the things that happened in this debate, which was very interesting, is that not only did you have Tim Ryan praising the CHIPS Act, for example, which is supposed to bring back a lot of American manufacturing when it comes to semiconductors, batteries, electric vehicles, stuff like that. You also had J.D. Vance giving credit to the CHIPS Act. And remember, the CHIPS Act passed by Joe Biden and mostly Democrats. There were some crossover Republican votes. But you have J.D. Vance arguing that that's a good thing too. Well, look, I hope Trump is paying attention, right? Because Trump's in the mode right now of, I don't give credit to literally anything Joe Biden and the Democrats do. And if he catches J.D. Vance praising the onshoring of U.S. jobs because of Joe Biden, well, he might get an angry Truth Social reaction. So I still have more for you, man. This did not. This was a long beat down here.
When you have guys like J.D. Vance who can't stand up to anybody on the stage, Donald Trump said to J.D. Vance, "All you do is kiss my ass to get my support." He said that. That's bad, because that means J.D. Vance is going to do whatever he wants. Mitch McConnell's given him $40 million. He's going to do what he wants. And Peter Thiel gave him $15 million. He's going to do what he wants. And here's the thing that's most troubling about this lack of courage is that after Trump took J.D. Vance's dignity from him on the stage in Youngstown. J.D. Vance got back up on stage and started shaking his hand, taking pictures, saying, hey, aren't we having a great time here tonight? I don't know anybody I grew up with. I don't know anybody I went to high school with that would allow somebody to take their dignity like that and then get back up on stage. We need leaders who have courage to take on their own party. And I've proven that. And he was called an ass kisser by the former president. The New York.
Now, by the way, here's the video in case you think, oh, Tim Ryan's like misstating that.
JD wasn't sure if he wanted my support. JD is kissing my ass. He wants my support. So
I am not going to take a back seat to J.D. Vance on law enforcement or anything else.
All right, hold on. I think I got one more for you here. Yeah. All right, let's see what else we got.
America's a great place, right? This country has fed more people, clothed more people, cured more people, and liberated more people than all the other countries in the world.
All right, reel it in, dog. Reel it in, dog. The whole, like, American exceptionalism shtick is supposed to be, you know, hallmark of the far right. That's not something that anybody who's even nominally on the left should be engaging in. That's not to say I don't love my country. Of course I do, but this sort of, like, hyperbolic, over-the-top claim with zero evidence to support it is very silly, to say the least, and I'm putting it kindly.
Combined. And we have to rebuild the great American middle class. Ohio has always led the way. We've got great things happening in Ohio. But I met a woman in Marietta who was a single mom who had to travel 2 hours to work and 2 hours back. That's who I'm fighting for. That's why we went all in on electric vehicles, where we now have 4 vehicles in the old General Motors Lordstown plant. We're manufacturing the jobs of the future. Solar panels in Toledo, natural gas in the Southeast, the chips manufacturing plant is going to be a blockbuster. Average wage $135,000 a year. Battery plant in the Mahoning Valley. Look, we have an opportunity to be the manufacturing powerhouse of the world. The arsenal of energy. I will never forget where I came from. And if you want to help this campaign, go to timforoh.com, chip in, volunteer. We're going to build a movement of the exhausted majority, Democrats, Republicans, and independents, to move this state into the future.
What's really interesting about this race is that J.D. Vance was leading by quite a bit for a long time. Now, I think the reason why he was leading for so long is because this is Ohio. Ohio is not the Ohio from when I was a kid, where it was like the most reliable swing state. It would go back and forth, and usually, as Ohio went in a general election for president, the country went. And so it's kind of, people think of it as, you know, it's the Ohio from 2004 or whatever, but it hasn't been that for, 2-3 election cycles. It's kind of become a lean red state. It is a lean Republican state. You could even argue it's just flat a Republican state, that it's not even that much of a swing state anymore. So J.D. Vance is supposed to win this race. He's supposed to win, but Tim Ryan has been, steadily closing the gap. And now the polls have it at almost a coin flip. I mean, I still think JD is a small favorite, but Tim Ryan has closed the gap. And some of the things he's doing are, I think, politically intelligent, even though they might be kind of annoying in a sense. But, like, he's gone out of his way to say, like, I don't want anybody nobody from the Democratic Party, I don't want anybody campaigning with me here. He was asked the question in this debate, should Joe Biden run again? And his answer was, no, he shouldn't. So he's doing some, like, unorthodox things and not necessarily being a quote-unquote team player, but he's doing that because, to the extent you're a Democrat now and you're going to get elected in Ohio, you do have to come across as sort of like I'm a maverick, I'm my own man, blah, blah, blah. And he does hammer away on supply chain issues. He does hammer away on outsourcing to China. He's clearly clobbering J.D. Vance over the head with a fucking mallet, and it's kind of a beautiful thing to see. So I'll be keeping my eye on this race closely for the midterms, because with the trajectory that it's on, it looks like Tim Ryan could actually pull it off. He did a phenomenal job in this debate. And even though I certainly don't like the guy for a variety of reasons that I laid out at the beginning here, it would be good to see him knock off somebody who's an absolute ghoul with zero redeeming qualities, like Trump ball coddler JD Vance. So I guess we'll find out, man. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.